Hi, I'm Jacob.
And I'm Margaret.
And this is our 170 Sprinter. So this is our kitchen, and it is all very much custom done to this unique van we have. The wood to start out with is the countertop is a tiger maple board with a cutting board and top for the sink. And then up top we have a cherry face frame, and down below as well. We got actually lucky when we put this here in our sink in our drinking water. It actually doubles as a shower for outdoor, so you can use it and stand outside and have a nice high shower, which is really nice and a pretty cool accident. And when you're building a van with your kitchen over here and two doors, they slide in. So on our countertop, we actually made our counters wider at the front end and the rear as to not run into it, so you can get as much room as possible. And same thing with our cabinets. It looks like it does come very close, but it allows us to get as much room as possible inside of our cabinets. So we have snacks and plateware and stuff, and it really does a good job at holding a lot of stuff. Down here we have, it's nothing special, but we use only 6-gallon water jugs. So we have a drain for 6 and fill up for 6, and we have 2 in the rear with a total of 18 gallons. And that does us pretty well. It's actually a lot easier to find water on the road than you might think. A lot of national parks and just rest stops will offer it, so that's wonderful. We have a lot over here. We have our full drawer with all my kitchen equipment and cooking spices, probably more than most, but I try to use as much as I can. And then our fridge, we had to make a slider since Dometic doesn't make a width slider, only a horizontal or vertical. So we had to find some heavy duty rails, but the whole thing does slide out and lifts up, which is really nice. We don't always use the freezer. You don't always need frozen food, so we like to put our cans and box goods in there that take up a lot of room and that jump around when you're driving, and it's well insulated and sturdier in there than sometimes your cabinets, and you don't want your doors popping open. Another interesting thing, we have our diesel heaters up under our front seat, and that gets ducted out behind the seats, and then through the kickboard we have some holes drilled underneath, so our heat comes out, heats up the floor, and then it works its way up. So there's never an issue with getting cold. And we also have storage down below. So I have pop-out panels with magnets, and this is where I store my induction burner. We raised it so you have a nice kickboard when you're cooking. Your feet, you're not like too far away like a normal house would have, and there's just hollow gaps in there. So we did pop-outs and make sure it had enough room to store what we had. So it was important to kind of have a lot of equipment that you need before you start building, so you know how to build and to make everything work out perfectly, and not just guessing and then having to, I guess I would say, compromise on something just because you didn't think it through all the way at the time, or you didn't know to think it through.
So what inspired us to take the dive into van life? It's kind of a funny story, actually. Not very much of a story. We were together for probably about 10 months, a little under a year, and I have a background in going to festivals. So I told Jacob, hey, it would be so great for us to convert a van and go live in a van. And to my surprise, he said, okay, let's do it. So don't really remember much after that, except walking out of the Mercedes dealership, feeling a little shocked, like, oh my gosh, we actually did this. Keys in hand, what are we gonna do? This thing was a naked cargo van when we got it. And yeah, 2 years later, here we are. We are from Pennsylvania. We're in Arizona right now, so I feel like we've accomplished at least something with that. And yeah, it's been great. Jacob was able to do the majority of the building with his father. I don't know if you want to talk a little more about that.
Yeah, we were living, I was living with Margaret at her place, and my dad didn't live too far away, and I asked him to help me build it, and he agreed. So a few months into me traveling back and forth to work on it, it was taking some time, and he said, you can live here in our guest house, and I'll help you build it there, and we can get a lot more done a lot quicker. So we talked about it, and we both agreed that this makes the most sense. If we really want to do this, we should just, go full time in building it as well. So we we packed up and moved to my dad's house and moved in, which helped us save money for being able to afford to travel right now without having to work remotely, which is really nice because I'm doing this not so I can work, but so I don't have to at this current time. And it was really good because we both really liked the town that we moved to where he was living at.
Yes, we were living in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, which is a great little city if you ever get the chance to check it out. Wonderful, very happy and grateful for our time there, but it's been wonderful being on the road. And I'd say we left in October of 2020, and I'd say we haven't had any major problems. We haven't wanted to turn back. We haven't been, oh no, what are we doing with our lives? We've been rocking it ever since, so it's been good.
I think it's been great.
So one of the things you may have noticed about our build that's a little unique compared to others is that we have these dual sliding doors. That's kind of been an awesome thing. We've come to find out we didn't really know what we were getting ourselves into when we first dove into the double slider, but we've been loving it. We have like a little divider, as you saw with our kitchen tour, to kind of keep the cab separate, which isn't that bad, not as big of an inconvenience as some people might think. But it's really nice because it allows us to have this awesome breezeway and this really nice banquette area. We took a lot of inspiration from boats, actually. While we were doing our research, we went to a lot of RV shows and we found a lot of things we really didn't like. You might notice there's no permanent shower. We didn't want to sacrifice our headroom and kind of add to maybe a feeling of claustrophobia that we would get if we did build out more of the headspace. So you notice it's really open and airy. We have this table that moves around. We can also take it out if we have guests or need a little more room. And we really like having our bed down all the time. That was something we decided when we were listing our must-haves. We didn't want to have to take the table up, the table down, yada, 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 all day in and out. Jacob wakes up way earlier than I do. I like to sleep in. And it gives him a little space to exist in the morning, and it gives me time to sleep in, which is really nice, and it feels more like living and not just existing in a box. Those little things that make life feel more normal really add up, I think, in such a small space, so it's nice to have that. So it's been really great. We have a ton of closet space. We have shelves and clothes hanger spots, whatever you want to call it. It gives us a lot of storage. I'm really proud of myself. I haven't even filled up all my storage space, so that's really a good feeling. We also have storage down below. We have a little cat box down here for our cat Dub. She is our co-pilot who's asleep at the wheel right now. We have a little toilet under here for both Jacob and I, and then the whole back row is all just storage underneath for pots and pans and whatever else you can think of. So this is probably my favorite section in the whole van. The plant shelf was actually the last thing we put in. I have a whole jungle left back at home. Shout out to my mom for taking care of my plants, and I had to bring just a few with me. So we brought along a couple. It gives us a little extra storage space too. We also have our little gallery right here. It's also my second favorite part of the van. Jacob's sister hand paints on paint chips. That's her thing. She's a full-time artist. And yeah, so we wanted to support her and liven up the van a little bit without, once again, cluttering up too much of that headspace and being too busy in our design. The little tiny paintings, I think, really fit well in our space without being too cluttering. So that's our art gallery corner right here. So our ceiling is made up of craft board at Lowe's. That might be surprising to some. It was surprising to me when we first came up with the idea. We looked at a lot of stick wood and other thin adhesive-based wood paneling. We didn't really trust adhesive, especially in really hot temperatures and really cold temperatures, so we figured out, we figured we have to figure it out ourselves. So we started with craft board from Lowe's. We did a nice light whitewash on it, and we beveled the sides to give this nice shiplap look. It also is advantageous in that with the eaves and the moves of the van, any flexing or even any warping for moisture, it'll all be kind of lost in that shiplap, and you won't really notice any differences or shifting. So that's been something we've really been enjoying, and once again, that white paint just really opens up the space and makes it super bright during the day. Doesn't let too much light in at night because we only have these windows up front, so the bed's like a little cave back there, which as a person that sleeps in, I love. So that's been great too.
So if you are someone who's just starting to get into this or trying to figure out if this is for you, I think the first place you should start at is making a list of pros and cons and things you actually need and do not need in your life. If a shower every day is something you absolutely need, then maybe it's not for you. But if you could go a week without a shower, or you could bird bath it in your sink, then this is definitely something that is more easily accessible for you.
Yeah, I would say just do it. A lot of people get caught up in the details, and I definitely think you need a solid foundation. You need a solid plan. But once you have those things, even if that plan gets you through a month, you still did that month, and that's still awesome. And you still have those memories and that experience. I have a lot of friends who say, oh, well, I can't take that time off work, or what am I going to do here? What am I going to do there? And aside from some very pressing real-world responsibilities, most things can be pushed off for a week or two, just for you to explore. So I guess my advice is just go do it. Just go do it.
I agree. So here is our van's electrical system. It is, I did it myself. Lots of YouTube and research really helped me, and I think it can help a lot of people. It's not something that if you're completely uncomfortable with, you maybe should ask for some help, but I think it's doable for most people. We have a total of 500 amp hours of battle-born lithium batteries, which is, it's a lot, and people keep telling me that, but I really like the peace of mind knowing I'll have power no matter what the weather brings, and that I can run some of my heavier use items like my air conditioner or my induction burner. We also have a 2,000 watt Victron charger, smart charger inverter, which is really nice. It usually doesn't run the AC, but I had to install an easy start that ramps down your compressor to allow you to not blow your 2,000 watts, because it usually will pull more than that on the startup, which is nice. I also have a alternator charger. We don't have the Orion, the Victron Orion that a lot of people have, but I do have a lithium BIM 225, which I find is very nice. But I was struggling at first to find a way to, you have to install it into your ignition source. So your van, so it knows that it's actually running your alternator, so you're not just draining your your battery bank. So I didn't really want to dabble with the ignition in there, so I found a cigarette outlet that was wired to the van starting up, so it's not on when the van's off. And I just took a male end USB and then wired it all the way back to this, and so when I need to, I just plug it into that cigarette outlet and it kicks it on, which is a nice way around not having to really mess with wiring in your van itself and messing up with some warranties. So that was a cool find I did. We have one solar panel. It's a 300 watt. Don't know the make off the top of my head, but it does the job just fine for the amount of lithium I have. People sometimes say, you know, I'm surprised you have more lithium amp hours than you have watts solar panel, but I find it's not an issue. You might just take a few more days to charge if you run your AC for a significant amount of time, but we also made it tiltable, which really helps you in this time of year when the sun stays low in the sky, to really pull in as much power as possible. So here's our garage. It's really important to us to have a nice, large, open space that we could store all the things that we may or actually may not even need, but nice to have on hand. I've seen a lot of builds that they'll block it off, do boxes and shelves, but to me, every time you put a box, you have to lose and sacrifice space on all sides of the box. Then you put a divider in between. The next thing you know, you're limited to your space and options. So I think crates and boxes are really good down below that aren't built in. Down here, we're able to mount our bikes, which actually just happened to work. We didn't plan it, but they fit perfectly. We'll have a Dyson down here, always charging, just in, when you want to vacuum your stuff, and it's nice to always not have to sweep. You can't sweep out your cushions, so the vacuum works really well. Down below here we have extra water, so another 12 gallons, a snowboard, we have an oven, a ladder so I can get on and raise my solar panel, backpacking, backpacks, camping gear, and a lot of wiring and tools. I brought a lot. I didn't know if I need them all, but I'm very happy I brought everything I did, because there's so many times you want to change something or fix something or something breaks that you need it, or you can help someone else out that something breaks, and they really, really appreciate it. So I think having tools is very high in the priority for van life.
thank you for watching our tour and seeing our little tiny home on wheels. If you want, you can follow us on Instagram at vantastic.pa. We will get better at posting, and we hope to see you on the road.
Thanks for watching.